Hey there, and welcome back to Chat Like a Native.
Hello, everyone.
Have you ever felt like your English is?
Well, it's okay. Like you can get your point across, but maybe you're missing that little spark.
Hmm. That way some speakers just seem to express themselves so effortlessly.
Exactly. So today we're diving deep into how you can ditch those everyday words like good and nice.
The ones we tend to overuse.
Yeah, and unlock a whole new level of, well, more vibrant, more precise English.
Stick with us because you'll walk away with some really practical ways to immediately make your conversations sound more engaging and, more natural.
Sounds good. So where do we start? These words good and nice, they're useful.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely have their place, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But relying on them too much, it can be a bit like eating, I don't know, plain rice every single day.
Okay, yeah. Gets a bit bland.
Exactly. Unexciting. Think about how much richer your conversations could be if you just had a few more sort of colorful options ready to go.
Yeah, to really capture what you actually mean. Precisely.
It's like you see an amazing sunset. Calling it good, it just doesn't really cut it, does it?
No way. It feels like a massive understatement. You want words that actually convey the spectacle of it.
And that applies to so many situations.
Right.
Not just sunsets.
For sure. Work, hobbies, describing people.
So we're going to explore how choosing more specific words can really make a huge difference, not just in how you're understood, but maybe how confident you feel expressing yourself.
And it's not just about memorizing a longer list of words, is it?
No, that's a good point. It's more nuanced.
It's about understanding when and where to use them. Context is everything.
Right. So how you describe something in a, say, a formal work meeting is probably going to be different from how you talk to your friend about the exact same thing later.
Totally. It's about picking the right, let's call it shade of meaning for that specific situation. The register.
Okay, give me an example, like the work thing.
Okay, so imagine a colleague gives a presentation. It's brilliant. Just saying it was good. It kind of feels like you're underselling their effort,
Yeah, a bit weak.
But if you called it, say, stellar, that immediately signals a much higher level of achievement. And stellar still sounds professional. It fits that context.
Okay, stellar. I like that.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't use stellar for, like, a funny cat video you saw online.
Probably not, unless it was a really impressive cat.
Huh. Right. For the video, maybe something like epic or hilarious.
Exactly. Epic captures that informal, enthusiastic vibe much better for social media or talking with friends.
So it really shows how your word choice needs to match the formality, but also the feeling you want to get across.
Precisely. The tone. Words like vibrant or electric can really bring the energy of an event to life. Whereas, in a more serious or formal discussion, you might lean towards words like exceptional or superb to really emphasize quality and excellence.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, something else that I found interesting is this idea of gradability. Like some adjectives are just inherently strong.
Ah, yes. The idea of absolute or non-gradable adjectives. That's a really useful concept.
So these strong words, they don't really need extra boosters like very.
That's generally true. Think about words like, unique or perfect. It sounds a bit strange to say very unique, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Or really perfect, because the meaning is already kind of absolute.
Exactly. The core meaning implies a complete state. And some of the more powerful descriptive adjectives we're talking about today work in a similar way. They already have that intensity built in.
So instead of automatically saying very good, we could aim for something like exceptional.
Yes, or outstanding.
And where we might say very nice, maybe charming or gracious would be more direct, more effective.
I think so. It often sounds more confident, more articulate, like you've chosen the word carefully.
Okay. And then you mentioned these power adjectives. You're saying adding very to them can actually weaken them.
It often can, yeah. It feels a bit redundant. Saying something is very impeccable. Impeccable already means flawless.
Right. Or very magnificent. Magnificent is already huge and grand.
Exactly. It's almost like saying very unique or very essential. The very doesn't really add much and can sometimes sound a little unnatural.
Got it. But then there are loads of other adjectives like, I don't know, cold or happy or bright.
The gradable ones.
Right. And with those, using words like slightly, quite, really, extremely. That makes perfect sense. It shows the degree.
Absolutely. You can be slightly cold or extremely cold. quite happy or incredibly happy. It's about knowing which adjectives already pack that punch and which ones benefit from a modifier.
So it's a subtle thing to listen out for and get a feel for as you use English more.
Definitely. It's a key part of sounding more natural. Okay, so should we dive into some specific examples, some really useful power adjectives?
Let's do it. You said you had 10.
Yep, 10 good ones to get us started. Moving beyond just good and nice. First up, exceptional.
Exceptional. Okay, so that means like way above average, standing out.
Exactly. Far above the usual standard. So you could say, she delivered an exceptional performance tonight.
Right. That tells you immediately it wasn't just okay. It was really, really good. Special.
Precisely. Number 2, superb.
Superb. That sounds quite high quality.
It is. It implies the highest level of quality or excellence. Imagine a chef creating a dish that's absolutely superb.
Yeah. Conveys real skill and top-tier results.
Okay, third, outstanding.
Outstanding, like literally standing out from the rest.
That's the core idea. It emphasizes being noticeable or significantly better than others. For instance, his research yielded outstanding results.
So not just good research, but important, noteworthy findings.
You got it. Next, number 4, remarkable.
Remarkable, worthy of remark, worth talking about.
Yes, worthy of attention. Striking, unusual. Saying it was a remarkable achievement for such a young team highlights how impressive and perhaps unexpected it was.
Okay, I like that one. Number 5.
Stellar.
We used that one earlier, like a star, right? Brilliant.
Exactly. Brilliant. Consistently excellent, like a star performer. Her leadership was stellar throughout the project. It suggests consistent high quality.
Nice. I halfway there. Number 6.
Exquisite.
Ooh, that sounds delicate or beautiful.
It does. It usually means extremely beautiful, delicate, or finely made. You might describe jewelry or art or even a piece of music as exquisite. The gallery displayed an exquisite collection of paintings.
Emphasizes beauty and fine detail. Got it. 7.
Impeccable.
Impeccable means flawless, right?
Yeah.
No mistakes.
Perfect, without fault or error, often used for things like manners, taste, or credentials. He has impeccable manners at every formal event.
Means his behavior is always spot on. Okay, number 8.
Magnificent.
Big one. Grand. Splendid.
Yes, impressively beautiful, elaborate, or extravagant, grand or splendid. Think big scale. The view from the summit was truly magnificent.
Paints a picture of something breathtaking. Cool. 9.
Phenomenal.
Another strong one?
Yeah.
Like extraordinary. Really remarkable.
That's it. Very remarkable, extraordinary, exceptional. Often used for things like growth, success, or talent. They showed phenomenal growth this quarter.
Highlights just how exceptional that growth was. Okay, last one. Number 10.
Incredible.
Incredible. Hard to believe. Amazing.
Exactly. Difficult or impossible to believe. Extraordinary. The rescue operation was nothing short of incredible. It emphasizes the amazing, almost unbelievable nature of it.
Wow, okay. Those 10 words, exceptional, superb, outstanding, remarkable, stellar, exquisite, impeccable, magnificent, phenomenal, incredible. Just hearing the examples, you can immediately feel how much more impact they have.
Right. Compared to just saying good or nice every time, it adds so much color and precision.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned something earlier, collocations. That helps too, right? Sounding natural.
Oh, massively. Collocations are basically words that just naturally hang out together in English. Adjective-noun pairings that native speakers use all the time without thinking.
Okay, so learning those helps your English flow better.
Hugely. It makes you sound much more fluent and natural. For example, with exceptional.
You often hear exceptional talent or exceptional service.
Exactly. Those are very common pairings. Or with superb, you get superb quality or superb craftsmanship.
Right, and maybe outstanding contribution or outstanding value. You hear those in business contexts.
You do. And how about remarkable? Maybe remarkable resilience or remarkable clarity.
Yeah, those sound right. They add depth.
And finally, stellar. We talked about stellar leadership, but also stellar performance or stellar reputation.
Ah, okay. So noticing these natural pairs and trying to use them is another layer to sounding more like a native speaker.
Definitely. It's a really good habit to get into. However, there's a flip side.
Oh.
Which is...
We don't want to go overboard with these power adjectives either.
Ah, right. Like peppering every sentence with magnificent and phenomenal.
Exactly. It can start to sound a bit unnatural, forced maybe, or even insincere if you overuse them. That's a really important point. Too much of a good thing, maybe. They could lose their impact if you use them constantly.
Precisely. It's all about finding the right balance for the situation and for your own style.
So what's the advice then? How do you find that balance?
Well, one thing is to try and vary your choices. Rotate your synonyms. If you used remarkable to describe one thing.
Maybe use outstanding or phenomenal for the next thing, if it fits.
Yeah, exactly. It keeps your language fresh and stops any one word from sounding repetitive or losing its punch.
And what about using those intensifiers we talked about? Really, truly, very, with these stronger words. You said generally avoid very, but what about others?
Generally, it's best to use them sparingly with these power adjectives. Words like truly or absolutely can sometimes add genuine emphasis, like truly magnificent or absolutely superb.
Okay.
But often the adjective is strong enough on its own. Really exceptional or very stellar can sometimes feel a bit, well, redundant, as we said. Let the adjective do the work.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And probably mixing these impactful words with simpler language is key too, right?
Yeah.
Not every adjective needs to be a power word.
Oh, absolutely. That's crucial for balance. Combining strong adjectives with more neutral or simple words actually creates better contrast. It makes the powerful words stand out more when you do use them.
Okay. If everything is dialed up to 11, then nothing really feels like 11 anymore.
You've got it. Good analogy. It creates a more dynamic and ultimately more impactful way of speaking or writing.
Okay. One last thing then. You touched on context earlier, but what about like cultural differences or emotional tone? Does that play a part?
That's a more subtle layer, but yes, it definitely can. Different English-speaking cultures might have slightly different tendencies.
How so?
Well, for example, sometimes in British English, you might find a bit more understatement. Someone might describe something genuinely amazing as, rather remarkable or quite outstanding.
Okay, a bit more reserved.
Sometimes. Whereas perhaps in American English, there might be a tendency towards slightly more direct enthusiasm, saying something is absolutely phenomenal or totally incredible. Obviously, these are generalizations.
Sure, but it's interesting. Something to be aware of.
Yeah, and beyond culture, just think about the emotional tone you want to create. Are you trying to sound purely objective and professional? Or warm and enthusiastic? Or maybe awestruck?
And the specific adjective you choose helps create that feeling.
Exactly. Impeccable feels quite formal and objective. Magnificent conveys awe. Charming feels warm. So being aware of the feeling a word evokes is just as important as its literal meaning.
It all comes back to choosing mindfully, doesn't it? Thinking about the word and the situation.
That's the heart of it, being conscious of your choices and understanding the nuances.
Well, this has been incredibly... no, wait. Exceptionally insightful.
Huh. Nicely done.
So I guess the main takeaway is pretty clear. By consciously picking more powerful, more precise adjectives, instead of just defaulting to good or nice, we can make our English way more vivid, more engaging, and, ultimately sound more natural, more like a native speaker.
Absolutely. And the best way to make this happen is practice. You can't just know the words, you have to use them.
Right. Start actively trying to slot them into your conversations, your writing.
Yes. Pay attention. When you're about to say good, pause for a second. Is there a better, more precise word? Try one of these out. See how it feels. See how it changes the impact.
That's fantastic advice. Okay, so here's a little challenge for everyone listening.
Yeah.
Think about one time recently, maybe even today, where you used the word good or nice.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, which of the adjectives we talked about, or maybe another one could you have used instead to make your description more specific, more impactful?
Ooh, I like that. A great question to mull over. It really encourages that active, conscious effort to upgrade your vocabulary.
Definitely. It's about using the language with intention.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the power of adjectives right here on Chat Like a Native.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
We really hope you found it helpful, and maybe you're feeling inspired now to add a bit more spice to your English vocabulary. Thanks for listening.